Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network, Fantasy Alarm, YouTube, Twitter, the BSN app, wherever you guys are tuning in from on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks for jumping in here. Got James Grande back with a new kid in his household, but he's back here ready to talk some Giants. He's got his Giants jersey on, ready for the big game tonight.
Let's go.
I got, is that a Saquon jersey? Don't know if we're gonna see Saquon tonight.
No,
though, right?
no. But you know what? I'm 1-0 since my daughter's been. So I'm a little superstitious about the Giants. So this jersey plus my new daughter wearing her Giants gear that Fantasy Alarm John and Pemba's he sent me actually. Plus my wife, plus my son, all of us combined were 1-0, all wearing our Giants gear. So I have to run it back. I can't not wear this. Yeah. We're 1-0. It was all thanks to me and my family for the comeback last week, Servo. So we're just gonna run it back, okay?
Listen, I know it was against the Cardinals, but it was an impressive comeback to even get that win. So they can ride that momentum into the night. Who knows? We will be breaking down this Thursday night football game, giving out some bets, giving out some player props for this game. And so definitely throw in your own picks that you got in the chat here, wherever you guys are watching. And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, definitely subscribe to the Fantasy Alarm channel, the Bettor Sports Network channel. Hit the like button as well. That helps us out. But thanks for jumping in here. If you got any picks, definitely throw them in the chat here. We will be giving out some little bit of baseball picks for tonight as well. If you want to have some baseball bets right in with your Thursday night football picks. And then later on, I'll be giving out some college football week 4 bets. Huge slate of games on this Saturday coming up. So we'll dive into some of those bets and picks. But we got to start out with Thursday night football. Giants at 49ers. The spread is at 10.5 in the 49ers favor here. The over-under at 44. Looks like it's dropping a little bit, but those are the lines right now, about a few hours before kickoff here, though. Before we get to any bets and picks, James, I don't know, any initial thoughts on this matchup that you have kind of going in?
I mean, yeah, it's going to be a really tough game for the Giants to win. And it's not only Saquon being out. I mean, Andrew Thomas was their best offensive player last year, right? He was their number 2 rated tackle in all of football last year. He's not there. And that's a big concern when, Bosa's on the other side of the field and the defense that San Francisco has. And we're missing a starting guard. So, 2 of the Giants' 5 offensive linemen are down. An already, question mark unit as a whole. Now you're missing Saquon. You don't know what the mosh posh of running back group's going to be. You're missing Azeez Ojulari on the defensive side of the ball. And, we've seen the Giants have been gashed by running backs through 2 weeks. And, by the way, Christian McCaffrey, who they said was going to be limited this year, hasn't come off the field in 2 games. He just is playing 100% of the snaps. So it's going to be a really uphill battle. I would say the only thing from a betting perspective that I don't dislike about the 10.5, in some places I see it getting up to 11, is that I do think that this game is going to be controlled by San Francisco on the ground. And that could, translate to not a lot of points scored, depending on if the Giants can sustain any drives. I think that's probably the ultimate question. Without Saquon, can they? If Daniel Jones of last week, the second half version, at all shows up in this game, then it's going to be competitive. But if he doesn't, forget it. We're probably not going to see Daniel Jones or any of the starters in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, San Francisco, big favorites for a very good reason. They're an elite football team, one of the favorites in the NFC to represent in the Super Bowl. But yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle for my Giants. Doesn't mean I'm not rooting for them. Doesn't mean I'm not hoping they pull a rabbit out of their of a hat again. But Servo, things are not looking great tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the week one 40-0 shutout loss against the Cowboys was tough for any
Yes.
Giants fan, and especially if you had any Giants players on your fantasy teams for that one. But last week, I mean, I know it was against the Cardinals, but you got to give them credit for really coming together in that second half and pulling it out. Winning outright there. But the 49ers defense is legit. And we saw what the Giants did against the legit defense in week one against the Cowboys. They struggled. The Cardinals defense is definitely not on the same tier as either the Cowboys or the 49ers. So I think it's going to be rough on the offensive end for the Giants. But for this game, I do like the under. That's one of my picks. I'm going with the under. Staying away from the spread because, as you mentioned, like the 10.5 kind of scares me, especially that it's 10.5. We could see the 49ers win by 10 and you're busted there. But I like the under here, under 44, minus 110 on DraftKings. It's gone down actually a little bit, 43.5. So wherever you can get it, you take the under. I just think, you mentioned it. The 49ers are going to go with a run-heavy approach here. They're going to want to, this is a game where, especially with it being the quick turnaround Thursday night, if they have a lead, they're not going to be trying to throw it around, force Brock Purdy into any mistakes. I feel like they're going to lean on McCaffrey. I think they're going to lean on Deebo Samuel too, with some more carries for him. Elijah Mitchell as well. I just see them controlling this game and keeping it lower scoring. I could see like a 30-10 final, or 24-10 final, something like that, where it's kind of controlled by the 49ers. And yeah, I mean, without Saquon, it's going to be tough for the Giants, I think, because he's a true difference maker. I think he's worth probably like 5 points on his own, 4 or 5 points, because he's that good. So yeah, I'm just going under here. Quick turnaround for both teams. I just feel like it's one of those games where it might not be too pretty from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the under is definitely the play here. And I agree on the points, on the point you made about the points. It's just a lot of points when a team doesn't have like an elite quarterback. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy isn't a very good quarterback, but he's not going to go out there and throw for 400 yards. Like, you don't have to work. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey might rush for 200, and that could,
keep the clock running. I'm good with that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just kind of the assumption that Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers and the Kyle Shanahan offense is going to just churn out points and churn out yards on the ground. And so I love the under as well. I do, Servo, on my best bet, I love the Daniel Jones rushing prop. And it's something that's over on Bettercast as well tonight. Mm-hmm. The Daniel Jones rushing yards. And you can get over on DK at minus 125 on the over. I'm a little like Daniel Jones, we all know he can run. It's not a secret anymore. Like, the sneaky quarterback, that's the sneaky white quarterback that's fast. That's not a part of this. He's just a good running quarterback. He's already rushed 22 times through the first 2 games this year. He's already hit the over on this mark twice. He hit the over on it 6 times last year. And, again, Saquon Barkley is not around. There's going to be a lot of design runs for Daniel Jones tonight, especially when you look at what's in the Giants backfield. Matt Breida, I used to be a big Matt Breida stan. He never panned out. He could not carry a load. He could not stay healthy. And he's not someone who's going to get 20 touches. Gary Brightwell is a guy who's, had a couple solid games for the Giants in a backup role last year. And then they have a rookie who couldn't pass block, and Eric Gray in the preseason, and he's returning, like he's now their return man in punts and kickoffs. So like Daniel Jones is the whole, like the focal point of the Giants offense. And I know Darren Waller exists, and I know all these weapons, like we saw Jalen Hyatt break out last week, and there's a bunch of different scenarios to play out here, but all eyes are on Daniel Jones. And I think we're going to get a lot of design runs for him. I think he's very good when he gets out of the pocket, tucking and running as well. So I'm going to go over 37.5 rushing yards for Daniel Jones tonight. I think the train just keeps rolling with his rushing yards prop. Like, just kind of as long as Saquon's out. I mean, he's hit over with Saquon in. He has 7 less rush attempts than Saquon this year. Only 7. The quarterback to running back, a running back that we, consider what, a top 5 back in the league, maybe top 3 last year. He has only 7 fewer attempts than him. So I think they're going to get Jones on the move a lot tonight. So over 37.5 yards.
I like that pick a lot. I almost went with that too as a prop because, you mentioned he's already gone over it twice this year. And it's also come in 2 games where, the first game, obviously they're trailing against the Cowboys, but he still, can go over that with his legs, whether he's passing it or running it. And then last week, they're trailing against the Cardinals and he still does it. And if they're trailing here against the 49ers, I think he's going to be running. Without Saquon, it's obviously boosts his rushing. But even if he was in there, I feel like this is a situation where you mentioned the kind of questionable offensive line for the Giants. And if Bosa and these 49ers pass rushers are, getting to him early, we're seeing Jones probably scramble more and try to make some plays. This prop, I mean, he could go over, he could easily have 3 or 4 15-yard runs where he's scrambling. Or, as you mentioned, design runs are going to be certainly part of the game plan for the Giants. So good call on that one. We got Mulroyd chiming in here on YouTube saying if they're smart, the 49ers will get up a few scores and pull CMC and let Mitchell get some more work. Hence why I like Mitchell yards tonight. Yeah, I was looking at his rushing yards prop right now over on DraftKings. It's at 29.5. Over is at -125. I do think that's a good call, Mulroy, because, I mean, whether it's with McCaffrey or Mitchell, both getting work here, especially if they're up early. I don't see, late in the fourth quarter, them handing it off. They gave him like 20-plus carries in both games so far, McCaffrey. And you mentioned, are they supposed to give him this much work already? But we'll see. I mean, if there was a game where they didn't give him as many carries, it would be here. So, good call on that, Mulroy. I think looking at Elijah Mitchell's over rushing yards is a good call. It's a low 29.5. But if he's getting 5 or 10 more carries than he has in the last 2 games, then I like that. You mentioned so that Daniel Jones prop is on the Bettor Cast contest that we got going on. And if you haven't already, go jump on the Bettor Cast app. Go download the Bettor Cast app for free. We're gamifying Thursday Night Football on this Bettor Cast app, so you can join the Bettor Cast as the Giants and 49ers are playing tonight. 8:20 p.m. Eastern is the kickoff, so get in before that. But you predict what will happen on props, on over-unders, on different questions like which team will score first. If you answer all the right questions or the most right questions, then the more tickets you win. You redeem those tickets for actual authentic NFL signed gear and collectibles. It's an awesome opportunity just to, while you're watching, there's live questions that pop up too while you're watching to ask, answer some in real time too. So, some of those pregame questions are, Daniel Jones over under 37.5 rushing yards. Which team will score first? Giants. You get 30 points if it's the Giants scoring first, or 49ers is only 10 points because they are obviously favored here. But one of the other questions, though, and I think you have a pick on this one too, Brock Purdy over under 228.5 passing yards. Where are you going with that one?
Yes, I'm going to go under here. And, I don't think Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback. I may have underrated him a little bit coming into the year, but it's just game script, really. I mean, if they get up and, you also, there's question marks with Brandon Aiyuk. There's nothing official on him yet. He's still listed as questionable, seemingly a true game time decision going in tonight. Yeah. And Aiyuk has clearly been the Niners' number one option through the air. Him and Purdy have had a great connection through the first 2 games. So that's a big question mark. And even if Aiyuk plays, like, is he 100%? Are they using him as a decoy? But in the 10 starts that he's made, he's only hit this number 3 times. He's only gone over 3 times. And, we saw it week 1, they win. And this is kind of to the Mulroyd question too, or the Mulroyd point, 30-7 they won, and McCaffrey played 85% of the snaps. What if they're up 30-7? I don't know if Elijah Mitchell gets more than the 5 carries he got in that game. I'm a little skeptical there, but like even in that game, they scored 30 points, 220 yards for Purdy, just 29 attempts. Like that's just what he is. Like he is a very good quarterback for Kyle Shanahan's system. And the Giants have actually been good thus far through the first 2 games against the pass. Like Dallas scored a lot of points on the ground and defensively. And it wasn't Dak Prescott didn't do anything. And then, Josh Dobbs had a good first half. He did absolutely nothing in the second half other than throw to his tight ends, and collect chunk yardage. But the Giants defense has been really good against the pass. And again, we talked about it at the start. This whole discussion about this game has been revolved around Christian McCaffrey and the run. So I think Brock Purdy under the yards is a pretty good number over on FanDuel -110. The 229.5. It's only 228.5 on the Bettor Cash, and I think it's 227.5 on DraftKings. So the best number you can get over is on FanDuel. But I would pick the under on all 3. I just think obviously the longer odds is under.
Yeah, listen, this pick goes right in line with just the overall game flow that I think we're both expecting here, especially on the 49ers side of I feel like they're not going to want to put Purdy in a lot of situations where he's maybe throwing picks, fumbling it too if he's dropping back a lot. I think if they have a 2-score lead at some point, especially late, then they're going to be handing it off more, and whether it's McCaffrey or Mitchell getting those touches. A pick I do like here is Deebo Samuel. I like his combined rushing and receiving yards over 72.5. It's actually, I'm looking now, it's up at 73.5 on DraftKings, but you can look around. Maybe it's still at 72 over on FanDuel or wherever. But I think, the receiving part of it is one thing because it's him and Aiyuk been seeing a lion's share of targets in this offense through the first 2 games. And if Aiyuk is out, then this is even more targets, I think, for Samuel. And he's already locked into what he's had, but I think he can, solidify that part of it when they are passing, maybe early in the game. But late in the game, I think he's also a big candidate to see more carries. He had 5 rush attempts in last week, had 38 rushing yards in that one, had 100+ total yards in that game. But, he only had 2 carries in week 1 in the blowout win. But he really wasn't needed with the game pretty much in hand against who were they playing week 1? Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. But last week, the Rams kept it closer, so they needed him more to be a rusher and receiver. But I think either way in this game, I just see him being a candidate to get more rush attempts. So I like the combined yards here. And the 72.5, he can go over that with just receiving too. But I think the rushing added in is something that we can factor more in here, especially if we're talking about maybe McCaffrey's carries being a little bit limited. Overall, he's had 20+ in the back-to-back games here. Maybe it's down to 15, and 5 of those carries goes to Samuel. So, give me the over on his combined rushing and receiving.
Yeah, love Deebo props tonight. And I think you bring up like a really good point. Again, kind of like another reason why I'm like a little skeptical on the Elijah Mitchell thing, because Deebo Samuel is like the de facto second running back, and he's proven to be better, I would say. I mean, 6.2 yards per carry 2 years ago. Last year, 5.5 yards per carry. This year, 6.6 yards per carry through 2 games. Like Deebo is a guy who can do it all. I mean, you talk about he has 18 touches through 2 games, and what is that number going to be if Aiyuk's not in? And I keep looking for Aiyuk news.
Yeah.
I did just see Servo. I don't know if you just saw this.
No.
Trevon Diggs officially tore his ACL. He's out for the year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Officially out for the season.
That is huge.
He tore it at practice. Torn ACL at practice.
Okay.
So your Eagles are now. I wonder what the odds for the division just shifted to, because that's obviously. I mean, that's
That's huge. I mean,
it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, he's a. I mean, they still have Micah Parsons, but and their defense is
True.
still good. But still, I mean, that is huge news. I'm looking right now. Let's see, futures division winner. We got the Eagles at plus 100 odds and the Cowboys at plus 105. So still pretty even, but I'm not sure what it was before this possible news came out, or this might switch. This might change more, but I mean, it's still early in the season, but that is huge for the Cowboys, obviously. They have who do they have this week? I'm blanking on it.
Arizona.
Arizona.
Who's Dallas
playing?
They
got Arizona.
Yeah.
Spread still at 12.5 for the Cowboys in that game. So we'll see if that shifts at all going forward over the course of today and tomorrow. But probably they still win that easy. But yeah, all right. Yep. So big news there, Trevon Diggs. But yeah, on the Aiyuk news, honestly, I mean, even if he is active, I wonder how many snaps he plays, you know, how involved he might be. Maybe he's used more of like kind of a decoy. So I think that, you know, that boosts up Deebo Samuel's props even more. You like a Deebo Samuel prop too, right?
Yeah, I think he's getting into the end zone tonight. Again, like it's kind of to your point, like they can use him as in a bully way on the ground because he is just I mean, put him in the backfield, he's a monster. 6 foot, 215, and then you know you get him in space outside, and everything could line up for him tonight, especially if Aiyuk's out or limited in any capacity. Quick screen, handoff, you name it. I mean, this guy a couple years ago, he had 14 touchdowns in a year. So before that was his breakout campaign. I know last year he didn't score a whole lot. He was also injured a bit, missed a couple games, missed 4, maybe 5 games last year. Yeah. So, you know, that touchdown number could have been even higher. But I think Deebo gets into the end zone second straight game. He has the second best odds in this game to score a touchdown. I don't know if you saw the Christian McCaffrey touchdown odds, Servo.
They're very much juiced to the to him scoring.
Yeah, it's the
I was looking at that before. Sorry to interrupt, but I was looking at that, and I wish there was a way to bet not for, you know, the under on Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if that is available anywhere, but like, you know, just because the odds would be, you know, you get some nice plus odds on
that. It's the highest touchdown odds in the last 3 seasons. I think it is.
Wow. Okay.
I was looking at it, so I looked at it in reverse as you. Like you're looking at like won't score a touchdown. I was looking at the odds to score 2.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy. So for example, Deebo Samuel is the best odds to score a touchdown outside of Christian McCaffrey plus 120. To score 2 touchdowns, Christian McCaffrey plus 235. Like that's still like pretty good odds to score 2 touchdowns.
That's like the anytime odds for, you know, like I don't know who else in the game might score.
Dude, like I mean, so the Daniel Jones is the best odds for a touchdown of the Giants at plus 250. So better odds Christian McCaffrey scores 2 touchdowns than Daniel Jones rushes in 1. Like that's, you know, I mean, so I don't know. We were both looking at separate Christian McCaffrey odds there. One not to score, one to score twice. One to score
twice.
Listen,
he scored last week, Deebo, on like a quick screen. So yeah, it's they in the red zone. They definitely look to get him involved, whether it's as the rusher or a receiver. So I like that call. And yeah, I'm banking on a big Deebo game here. I think if you got him in fantasy, it should be, you know, if he gets in the end zone with like, you know, 80 plus total yards, it's going to be a really good game. Another pick I'll throw out here, going defense. Taking a page from our producer, Adam Bernard, who threw out a defensive prop, I think, in week 1 with the Bills. But I'm going Bobby Okereke, your Giants middle linebacker, over 7.5 tackles plus assists. So going for 8+ total tackles here for him. You know, when you look at, so obviously we're just talking about the 49ers offense being run focused, going to hand the ball off, whether it's McCaffrey, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Deebo, a lot of runs coming. And Okereke's going to be there in the middle to just, you know, gobble up all the tackles. in week 1 against the Steelers, we saw the Steelers middle linebacker trio of Quan Alexander, Landon Roberts, and Alex Highsmith, linebacker core, all combined for 23 total tackles, and all of them had at least 7 in the game. And San Fran ran it 34 times. Week 2 against the Rams, Niners ran it 28 times, and the Rams inside linebacker Ernest Jones had 10 total tackles. Okariki's the guy. He was signed over from the Colts, as you know, to be the middle linebacker, the tackle hog in this defense. And I think Jason Pinnock, the safety for the Giants, might be tied up more with covering George Kittle, covering Deebo Samuel. Yep. I don't think he's going to be having as many tackle opportunities as Okariki. So I like Bobby Okariki over 7.5 tackles plus assists, minus 140 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I love that. That's what he does.
By the way,
that's what he does, dude.
Yeah, he had 8 last week, playing every defensive snap for the Giants. So I think there's going to be more running opportunities. That was a game, obviously, we're breaking down the Cardinals where, all right, in the first half, they were trailing, but in the second half, the Cardinals had to pass more, and there wasn't as many tackle opportunities when you're playing probably from behind here, where the 49ers are going to run it a ton.
Yeah, that's literally, the Giants haven't had this in the middle of their linebacking core maybe since I was born. So I mean, in my 31 years, Servo, I'm not sure they've had a linebacker this
he's
just at the ball. He's just where the ball is all the time.
Veteran tackle machine. Yeah, our producer Adam Bernard saying he was a tackling machine in Indy last year. Yeah, he had 151 total tackles last year, averaged 8.9 per game. So I think he's getting at least 8 in this game.
Agreed. Only thing I'll say is I think there could be later in the season, if and when the Giants decide, to unleash Isaiah Simmons a little more after the trade with Arizona. He only played
he's barely
a handful
played
of snaps.
Yeah,
he did not play a lot of snaps last week for whatever reason, but was making plays. So I assume it's a getting used to the Wink Martindale system thing, and once he knows it, it's more snaps. But I would say for now, all systems go on the Okikiri tackle.
Yeah, IDP league, I had Isaiah Simmons, and it was all right, well, I guess he's not playing at all right now, so gotta drop him.
Not playing at all. No, it's very confusing.
All right, what else you got going before we talk some baseball and college football?
Yeah, so one more prop I got, and you can get it at 3.5 on DraftKings, but I'm pretty confident in this. I really like George Kittle tonight, and I like the over 4.5 receptions. I like it juiced. I mean, it's plus 140 on DraftKings. It was plus 142 on FanDuel. It was 3.5 at minus money on DraftKings. So, this is why the Giants, if you're, interested in where, again, Okikiri is a great tackle guy. All he does is tackle people. The rest of the linebacking core has question marks everywhere. They're not playing Isaiah Simmons, who runs a 4-3 and can play safety or anywhere on the defense, really. The other linebackers, we have one of them is hurt coming into the game, and they've kind of been torched to tight ends. They've allowed 8+ targets in each of the first 2 games. Now, Ferguson didn't do a lot in week 1 against the Giants, but he had 7 targets. Again, Dallas's offense was totally revolved around Tony Pollard, and then totally revolved around just the defense and special teams scoring points for them. But look at last week with Zach Ertz, 6 catches, and then Trey McBride had 3 catches as well, their second tight end. And we've now allowed 8+ targets again to tight ends in the first 2 games. And last year, it wasn't any different. The 8th most receptions allowed to tight ends. And again, it's another question of if Brandon Aiyuk doesn't play or is limited, we've seen George Kittle, when one of these guys has not been on the field between Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel over the last couple of years, have monster games. So this is a situation where Kittle is going to be over the middle of the field a lot. It's where the Giants cannot defend. And I really like the over receptions, and I like it even more if and when Brandon Aiyuk is
Yeah.
ruled out. I'm really questioning the Aiyuk injury. He's a true game time. I'm spamming to find out if he's going to play. It's obviously we're gonna find out later, and it's gonna probably be when the inactives. I was hoping like we'd get like a rap sheet leak or like a Schefter leak
Yeah.
early on.
Well, I will
But
say this. I was just, doing Twitter search to see as you were talking. We have this is like one of those football doctors. It looks like he's
Twitter doctor.
yeah. Well, it looks like he's a contributor to Fantasy Points website. So
Okay.
so I guess he is more legit. But he says that Brandon Aiyuk was limited in practice all week. Since 2020, San Fran has had 6 players limited in practice leading up to a Thursday night game, and all 6 were active on Thursday night. So I guess that's a trend that he's looked at. So take that for what it's worth. But to your point, I mean, listen, if he's out, obviously, Kittle and all the other 49ers props get a boost. But even if he is active, I do think he could be playing like a decoy role, or just his snaps overall are limited. Maybe they bring him in on obvious passing downs or in the red zone. But I feel like Kittle, especially when they're over the middle, I feel like he could eat up five catches at least. So yeah, good call on that one. Especially with the Aiyuk situation, and definitely stay tuned. I mean, we won't get inactives and actives until like an hour and a half before game time, so we still got a while to go. But definitely keep an eye on that. And if he's out, then I'm sure the odds, the plus odds that you're getting on this Kittle reception prop will definitely shorten. So, all right. Let's look at some baseball picks for tonight. And by the way, over on Fantasy Alarm, you get the All-Pro subscription if you haven't already, and you can get the Best Bets article that's up with Howard Bender's picks for tonight. Gives out some props, gives out some game picks over on there. The DFS Showdown playbook is also up on Fantasy Alarm. And the My Underdog Picks article, which I had gave out, the Debo pick in there, but you can check that out too. That one's for free, but definitely check out Howard's Best Bets article and the DFS Showdown playbook for tonight. And all the, we got the target report, the red zone report, we got a snap count report, a lot of articles going live on the site over the last couple days that you can get with the Fantasy Alarm All Pro subscription. So scan that QR code or get the 7-day free trial and get involved. All right, let's look at some baseball picks for tonight. I think you got a few more than me, but let's just give them out. What do you got going tonight, baseball wise?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm shocked to see Tarek Skubal strikeouts still at 6.5, because if anyone's been paying attention to what Tarek Skubal has been doing, he's been awesome. He's gone over this number in 6 consecutive starts. And have they been the toughest matchups? No, Servo, they have not. They have not been the toughest matchups. But he faces Oakland tonight, Servo. So the string of maybe not the toughest matchups may continue tonight. And like he did, we know that, doing this every day throughout the entire season, we know that Cleveland doesn't strike out. He had 7 strikeouts against Cleveland, and they just don't strike out. No matter who's in that lineup, there's like a magic pixie dust that is just spread on every player. It's like, if you strike out, you're off this team.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what is said. Unless you're Jose Ramirez, you can do whatever you want. But everyone else, you're off the team. So I just can't believe we're still getting this number at 6.5. And, it's minus 165 on DraftKings. It's obviously trending towards 7. It might even end at 7 by the time we get there. But I like parlaying that with Grayson Rodriguez outs, Servo. 17.5 outs. I like the over there. Another kid that's just been awesome. Yeah. Like Skubal is not a rookie. We've seen him on the scene. He's come back from injury and he's looked great. Grayson Rodriguez is. He's one of the top overall pitching prospects in the league. He's obviously been a key contributor, specifically to this Orioles team in the second half of the year. He looked horrible upon his initial call-up early in the season, but he's just been awesome. He's been flat out awesome since then. Outside of one start in Boston, he has gone over this in 6 of his last 7 starts. He had 4 1/3 against Boston, so be it. But the starts included Houston, San Diego, Toronto, and Tampa Bay, which, San Diego is what they are, but San Diego still does have guys in that lineup that can turn it on at any drop of a dime. Like
Yeah.
Tatis exists in the world, Soto exists in the world, so nothing to scoff at. So we're getting this number against a Cleveland offense that doesn't strike out a lot, but they don't pose a threat. Like Cleveland's offense is very putrid outside of Jose Ramirez, truthfully. I mean, they're batting Cole Calhoun in the middle of their lineup, and Ramon Laureano plays every day. They're 19th in OPS during the month of September against right-handed pitching, which is actually an improvement on the year, but still it's almost in the bottom 10 in the league. So I like to parlay those two pitchers together. Skubal strikeouts and Grayson Rodriguez's outs, both on the over. And you get that at plus 194 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. So those are my two baseball picks of the day. I love Skubal. I love Rodriguez. And in pretty much every prop form, I would stay away from the Rodriguez strikeouts. But I like the outs quite a bit.
Yeah, I looked at the Orioles, to win that game. The money line's a little juicy, but I still think they can win that one, and it's on the back of Grayson. So good call on that. And you can parlay it with that Skubal prop or if you like the Skubal prop and anything else that's juiced tonight, definitely use the Skubal prop to parlay it.
Sure. We got an update, Servo.
Well, what?
Brandon Aiyuk is not expected to play tonight for the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
So if you get in your Kittle, that is per Schefter, per league source. So Brandon Aiyuk not expected to play.
Dude, your Kittle props, my Deebo Samuel, I like it.
Let's go, Servo. Let's go. We manifested this.
We did.
See?
I mean, listen, we said it. Even if he was going to be active, then he's probably going to be limited.
Right.
I'm looking right now just to see, if you can get on these now. But like the current lines, the Kittle yards is at 43.5. The Deebo Samuel. They're actually pulling some down. I don't see Deebo Samuel there now. His Kittle.
Everything's gonna get pulled.
Kittle's
everything's getting pulled.
We'll see. So jump on a couple of these now if you want. Now that we have confirmation.
FanDuel still has Kittle. You said 43.5 for DraftKings for Kittle. They're at 46.5, and then Deebo 59.5 for receiving yards.
Okay.
So they've already got
They're moving up because on DraftKings right now, Deebo receiving yards is at 54.5. And his rushing,
get that now.
Yeah, his rushing plus receiving is still at 73.5 over there. But as I'm saying that, I'm watching some of these get pulled right now.
Oh, pain! So much pain.
Yeah.
You're watching them get pulled because you're trying to bet them live,
right?
And
everyone's betting them. All right, so that's interesting. My one baseball bet tonight. This is just one that I'm a Phillies fan. Yes, I'll admit, but Trey Turner, with the way he's rolling, especially at home, Phillies are back at home tonight, which even has me looking at this more because every time I see Turner's hits, runs, RBIs at 1.5, it's been at 2.5 over recent. So I've stayed away from it. But if it's at 1.5, I'm hitting the over. Minus 135 on DraftKings. He's been over this in 14 of his last 17 home games, going back to, in the middle of August. He's in a mini slump right now, hitting just 207 over his last 7 games, but he's still been over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 13 of his last 17 games in September. He's back at home, I mentioned, hitting 296 at home this year with a 546 slugging percentage. Got David Peterson on the mound for the Mets. I'm not too scared about that matchup, so give me Trey Turner over his hits, runs, RBIs.
Servo, I do have to give you and your Phillies fans some props because apparently,
dude, we've willed it.
The season around.
We've willed it into existence.
You gave him a round of applause, and I didn't think that was possible for you guys after booing Santa Claus. So you know what? Tip of the old ball cap to you guys for turning it around. For being the better person.
There's a fine line that you have to kind of toe if you're a Philly athlete. And if you go one way, talking football, the Eagles. I remember T.O. He went in the other direction, and we
did.
booted him out of town. But Turner, I mean, he signed a big contract. He's in here for the long haul, so we got to root for him. And yeah, he's responded very well to that standing out. All right, let's talk some college football before we wrap up today's show. I'll give out some picks here. And if you haven't already, we've said this every week, but we got a new contest over at Bettor Edge. The Servo 7 Bettor Edge contest there. So you can compete against me in this Servo 7 contest. You can pick over-unders for college football totals. It's a college football totals competition powered by Bettor Edge. You can go download the Bettor Edge app for free. And you can join this contest for free as well and get paid out if you are the winner here. So go to bettoredge.com/bettor, BETTOR. Use the promo code BETTOR Bettor to get $20 when you sign up and verify. No deposit required for this. So you get some free money right away to enter these contests, and you can win if it's a pool of about like 20 or so games from Saturday, but you just have to pick 7 over under. Go over under on some of the totals there. One of the totals I'll throw out here that's over on Bettor Edge contest. I like the under in the Ole Miss Alabama game. One of the big matchups for this weekend, Ole Miss against Alabama. It's at 57 is the total over on Bettor Edge. This total is actually dropped a little bit, so you can take advantage of the Bettor Edge line there. But the total is at 55 over on some sports books. But overall, I just do think this is going to be a lower scoring game. If you followed college football and seen what Alabama's been doing, their quarterback situation is a rough one. They benched their starter Jalen Milroe after they lost to Texas. Went to their 2 other guys last week against South Florida. It did not go well. They're going back to Jalen Milroe now for this game. I do think the offense is going to change a little bit though, because he's a running guy. He's a running quarterback. I feel like this offense is going to really go for, a ground and pound kind of mindset with their, they have really good 2 senior running backs with Milroe running it. He's not a guy that's going to be slinging around often. I feel like the Alabama offense is going to really lean on the run here. And the other side, I'm worried about Ole Miss's offense because they have multiple skill position guys hurt coming in here. Zachary Franklin and Trey Harris, both their best wide receivers and really good receivers, are both questionable. They're both banged up, and we'll see if they play, but it's still a worry. And then Quinshon Judkins, their stud running back, also playing hurt right now. He's been playing, but he has a small injury. I feel like it's going to put a lot more pressure now on their quarterback Jackson Dart on the road here at Alabama. And you got an Alabama defense that's still legit, and still I think this team is hungry to kind of prove to the country that they're still here. They're still Alabama, and they're favored, by 6.5. And I would look at Alabama too on that spread, but I like the under overall. I just think I could see this being, like a 25-10 game. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring, and I really worry about Ole Miss scoring much at all. So yeah, give me the under there. So that's on the Bettor Edge contest. Going live tonight, by the way, I have a college football best bets article that you can check out. So with a couple picks, one's for the Penn State-Iowa game, another one's for the Oklahoma-Cincinnati game. So you can check out that article over at Fantasy Alarm. Get the All-Pro subscription to see some of those picks. I'll give out a few here, though. Kind of some quick hitters I'll throw at you, James. Just called you John, man. My bad.
That's tough.
It's John, James,
Yeah, it's tough. It's okay. We look the same. Same look.
Well, John's been filling in on these Thursday
I know.
All right, first one, another huge game, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Really good game on Saturday night. Give me the Irish as the home dogs here. I like the 3.5 that you can get. It's at 3 somewhere, but if you can get 3.5, go for it. I do think Notre Dame has a good chance to win this game outright, though, because you look at – so these teams played last year, week 1. It was a 21-10 final for Ohio State at home for them. But this, in that game, we had C.J. Stroud playing for Ohio State, and Notre Dame had rolled out Tyler Buchner, a quarterback who couldn't, he was one of those guys at Alabama that couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe and has not seen the field. It's a much different story here. Notre Dame has a significant advantage at quarterback now. Sam Hartman was one of the best transfers, coming over for Wake Forest, and he's a true difference maker there. And Ohio State has a guy, Kyle McCord, who's talented, but this is his first real road test. He played on the road at Indiana in week 1, but that's not what on the road at Notre Dame is. Right. So this is a tough one for him. And I just look at this matchup being Notre Dame getting a little bit of disrespect because Ohio State does have an advantage, like all the skill position guys. They have Marvin Harrison, Emeka Egbuka, Trevon Henderson, Mayan Williams in the backfield. But I think McCord is kind of the X factor of, like, if he can make plays and really show up, then this is like Ohio State probably winning and covering. But I think Notre Dame can really grind it out. They have a really good run game and offensive line. Definitely the advantage in the run side of things in this one with workhorse running back Audric Estime. So I like Notre Dame here. Give me the points with them. The over-under is at 55.5. I'd probably lean to the over there, but I still like the Irish here. I like them getting as underdogs because they've been rolling through teams, and they aren't showing any signs of slowing down. They really haven't opened up the playbook yet for Sam Hartman. They've really benefited from like playing ahead and just kind of leaning on the run game. But this is a game where Hartman could really show out on national stage on Saturday night. So give me the Irish there. Another pick I'll throw out here. I like Oregon. Oregon playing Colorado. James, you've been gone, but I don't know if you've seen what's been going on with Colorado.
It's fun. I mean, it's fun. I feel like it's fun. Maybe that's just me.
Well,
it was the most streamed. Wasn't it the Colorado State game, the most streamed game of college football history? And it was a 10 p.m. game. Like, imagine
I was streaming it on my.
I'm so saying.
I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, but the game went to overtime, and I was streaming it on my phone trying to fall asleep. But it was exciting. You got to give credit to Colorado. They looked dead last week. They had the game lost at home to Colorado State, and last week, just pat myself in the back. I gave out Colorado State as the big underdog. And I've faded now Colorado in 3 straight weeks. I'm doing it again here because I think Oregon is going to pound Colorado here. All right. The defense for the Buffs is very bad. It's still a very huge worry. And now they're without their best player, Travis Hunter. It was a shutdown corner. I think it's going to be a huge mismatch on that side of the ball because Oregon's offense with Bo Nix, talented Troy Franklin, overall their run game's really good. I think it's going to be a big mismatch. I think Oregon can put up a huge number here. They also have kind of like the motivation to like be that team to really, I think, embarrass Colorado and really just kind of shove it in their face and like, all right, welcome to, the elite competition now, because Colorado has not faced a team like this yet. They faced like a Nebraska team that was very underwhelming. They almost lost to Colorado State last week.
They beat TCU though, right? Didn't they?
They beat TCU, but I'm not putting so much stock into that because it was TCU losing a bunch of their top guys from a year ago. So I think it was like a tough spot. And also, you don't know what you're getting in Colorado. All of a sudden, Shedeur Sanders in this offense starts, playing at a fast pace and throwing it around. The book is out, though, on what their offense is. It's still very talented. You got to give a lot of credit to Shedeur Sanders and those receivers. But their offensive line is a very huge worry still. It's been a problem. He got pressured a lot against Colorado State, also got pressured a lot against Nebraska. And Oregon has this tape on them. They're going to send multiple guys at Sanders, and I don't think it's going to go well. So give me Oregon to win here and win big. And really put it on. You can get 20.5 out there. It wasn't like 21, so it looks like some money's been coming in on Colorado. But I like getting 20.5 because that's 3 touchdowns. I think they can win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. So,
is Travis Hunter better offensively or defensively?
He's better defensively. He's an elite shutdown cover corner. but he is talented enough to play on both sides.
That's great. That's
and he's athletic enough to be, one of those bigger bodied receivers too. So, but yeah, he's like a taller, like really good one-on-one corner. And yeah, we'll see if he, the rest of the season, especially with the injury, whether he's playing both sides, but yeah, tough loss for them. Also just kind of a letdown after that emotional Colorado State win.
Sure.
All right, a couple quick ones I'll give out before we get out of here. Give me Army plus 13.5 against Syracuse. I think this is a really weird spot for Syracuse. They're playing Clemson next week, and I think it's a big opportunity. They're probably looking ahead a little bit to that Clemson game, and I think they might overlook Army here a little bit, especially because preparing for Army's triple option offense is really tough to kind of go from. They played Purdue last week, who's like throwing it a lot more pass happy offense. Now they have to switch gears, face this triple option offense. I think it's going to be a tight one here. I like getting Army as double-digit underdogs here. They won outright as underdogs last week on the road at UTSA, and they're going to come in, not scared away from playing on the road at Syracuse. And they also have a history, Army does, of playing top, better teams a lot closer than you'd think. 2 years ago, lost 20-14 at Wisconsin on the road. These are all on the road, by the way, at Wisconsin. Only a 6-point loss. 3 years ago, a 14-point loss to a ranked Cincinnati team that went undefeated that year. 4 years ago was a double overtime loss on the road at Michigan. And then 5 years ago, an overtime loss on the road at Oklahoma. So I think Army, they have a really good recent history of just playing, especially teams early when it's like, all right, we got to jump into this triple option attack. So good time to buy low on Army. Good time to sell high on Syracuse too, because they're perfect against the spread through 3 games, 3-0 against the spread. But I think the market's kind of overvaluing them a little bit here. Then the last one, another underdog. I like a lot of underdogs this week. Charlotte against Florida, plus 28.
Eesh.
Big spread. Obviously, a mismatch of talent. Florida is a lot better than Charlotte, so you can and the spread kind of indicates that. But Florida's coming off a really big emotional win, I think, over Tennessee last week. And I think that's a game that really cemented themselves that, like, all right, we're here, we're legit, we just beat Tennessee. And I think it's a weird kind of sandwich for them because they play on the road at Kentucky next week. Another match test for them in the SEC. I think this is I think they're going to overlook Charlotte a little bit. Charlotte covered as underdogs on the road at Maryland 2 weeks ago. It was a 24.5-point underdog in that one. And for what it's worth, Florida's been favored once this year. It was against an FCS school in McNeese State in week 2 and didn't cover as huge favorites in that game. So the kind of the track records of both have me going to Charlotte here, getting 4 touchdowns. I mean, listen, this is classic, like late in the game. If it is like a huge lead for Florida, they're resting guys, getting ready for Kentucky. I could see Charlotte punching in a late score to cover here. So, so those are my picks for college football. Again, go over to Fantasy Alarm tonight and check out some of my best bets for Iowa, Penn State, and Cincinnati against Oklahoma. So you could check that out as well. All right, we got to wrap up here. Long show for us, but been fun. Stay tuned, by the way, coming up next, 5 p.m. Eastern, we get the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS live show with John and Pemba and James Grande. You're pulling double duty, talking some baseball. Love it. And then tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bettor Sports Network YouTube channel, you can check out the High Stakes Fantasy Football Show with Eric Balkman. And then over at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel, you can check out the Thursday Game Day Preview with John and Pemba and Andrew Cooper talking Thursday Night Football. So get all your football and baseball talk going tonight on Bettor Sports Network. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Howard Bender back, and we'll give out some best bets for NFL Week 3. All right, good luck with all your picks tonight, James. Hope your Giants can keep it close and maybe pull out the win. Who knows?
Let's go.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.